Two teams that almost made it to the college football playoffs, but missed out. We'll meet in the Rose Bowl, Stanford, Iowa, an interesting matchup, and we will discuss the betting odds for this game with professional sports bettor Teddy Covers. I'm Peter Loshak. Teddy Covers. Right now, Stanford is a 6.5 or 7-point favorite. Now, Stanford, obviously, any way you slice it, had an awesome year, right? After that loss to Northwestern, they went on an absolute ATS tear. Overall, they had a great ATS record on the year, but just 3-3 against the spread over their last 6, so they kind of regressed to 50-50 in the second part of the season. And Iowa, the whole year, kind of had the knock that they were, a little bit, overrated, that they were a good team, a great version of Iowa, but not quite as good as some people were giving them credit for. They did go 3-4-1 ATS over the last 8, so they were also kind of 50-50-ish down the stretch. And the question here, I guess, is just how much stronger is Stanford? My sense is quite a bit stronger. I would take Stanford at minus 6.5. Would you agree with that, Teddy Covers, or not?
I'm with you 100%. And look, there was a lot of disrespect for Iowa here in Las Vegas and throughout the betting markets all year. And I think a lot of it's deserved. You look at the Hawkeyes' toughest games this year. They were underdogs only twice all year. They were underdogs at Wisconsin, and if you watch that game, you know how fraudulent their win at Wisconsin was. The Badgers, I think they had 4 turnovers. They had one that was at the goal line as they were driving in for the winning score. Iowa scored 10 points and won a road game as an underdog. And then, of course, they were underdogs to Michigan State in their bowl game, or in the Big Ten championship game, I should say. And the Hawkeyes offense, again, couldn't do much, 13 points for the game. It's not a dynamic offense. It's not an offense that's capable of outscoring anyone. Right. And the reason that the Hawkeyes are in the Rose Bowl is schedule related. That and the fact that the 2 best teams in the Big Ten, maybe the 3 best teams if you want to call it, put Michigan in that category, are all playing in different bowl games, and Iowa got the Rose Bowl. But I was in no uncertain terms. I go to a group of bettors called the Tuesday Group here in Las Vegas, a bunch of guys who've been around for a long time. And we discuss power ratings, we discuss games. And at the end of the regular season, every guy in the group had at least 15 teams power rated higher than Iowa. I talked to a sportsbook director, a prominent sportsbook director here in town. He had at least 20 teams that he would have favored over Iowa on a neutral field. So, yeah, the Hawkeyes won a bunch of games, and their straight up win-loss record is pretty gaudy. But I don't believe they're an elite team. The betting markets don't believe they're an elite team, and that's why they're a touchdown here in that 6.5 to 7-point range.
All right, sounds good to me. So I guess maybe there's not much to talk about. The total took a big dip down. That concerns me a little bit, I guess. 55.5 was the opener that I saw. Now it's 53 or 53.5. I guess that's an indication that the market thinks that Iowa won't be able to move the ball at all on Stanford, basically.
Yeah, and again, Iowa was favored in all of these games. They were only underdogs twice. And even when they're beating up on the weaklings of the Big Ten West, or they're beating up on some of the weaklings that they played in non-conference lately, they played Pitt. I guess that was their tough non-conference game, a game they won on a 57-yard field goal. Worth noting, Iowa does have a very good kicker. But the reality is that this is not an offense that was capable of a lot of explosive plays. They're decent at running the football. The passing game with Beathard is the hit or miss. There are no big-time downfield weapons. And, of course, Stanford, they've got one of the best weapons in college football. And Christian McCaffrey, I know a lot of people hadn't seen him play. He didn't make the Heisman Trophy ceremony in New York by accident. This kid is something special. He's really slippery, and Stanford blocks for him extremely well. I think it's going to be a tough matchup for the Hawkeyes defensively.
All right, Teddy Covers and I both believing that Stanford at minus 6.5 has some value. I hope we're right, Teddy. This also might be one of those lines that covers that closes closer to 7.5. We will see. Thanks so much, Ted.
Well, it's definitely worth noting. If you like Stanford, lay 6.5 now. Yeah. This line's not going to go down.
I'm assuming that they're going to be a big public side if they don't take any sharp action on top of it. Thanks so much, Teddy.
Pleasure's mine.